Are you going to say silence like the last episode?
Naruto.
Oh, God. Guys, we're talking about mythological beasts, and I know I should be more excited. However,
we have an existential crisis for you.
I like the way you say existential.
Existential.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's,
We're your Meta PsycKicks.
yeah, this is the second time we haven't done a cool intro, or at least the normal intro. Whatever your perception of cool is, because we're going to ruin your perception about everything right now.
My ADHD brain told me that we needed to hit the punch button, and we haven't hit the punch button, so we needed to hit the punch button. You're welcome.
Okay, so we have had the idea of covering mythological beasts and or creatures, cryptids, whatever you want to call them. But we haven't done it yet, because we've gotten really good content from our own heads for other things. But everyone likes a good mythical creature. And M, of course, wants to talk about dragons. But that's not in this episode. It's going to be a different one. So I had to pick a topic. And I did not get to pick the topic.
Emily picked one for her.
I was going to do like Cerberus or something.
I made her do fairies because I know everybody wants to hear about fairies, and I was supposed to research dragons.
Well, no, it's not that she's supposed to research dragons.
I was supposed to research dragons.
No, you wanted to research dragons, and you wanted me to not have you research fairies.
Well, I researched dragons and then realized there was a fucking dragon with me. So tell me why that happened. Psychic medium live.
And you also have 2 spirit guides that are fairies. I do not. So maybe you just could have covered all of them by yourself.
You know, maybe you should have done the research for Lizzie Borden house because you had so much knowledge on it too.
I did. I told you.
So which case, now we're even.
What? No, that is not even.
We are even.
No, that is not even. I told you, you just don't remember, that I had prior knowledge of the Lizzie Borden house.
You never told me.
I know I did.
150%, you did not.
175% I did.
Yeah, you told me after I did the research for it. So even Steven.
Not even.
Existential crises.
You still could have talked to the souls of Lizzie Borden and not me.
No, I couldn't.
You just refused.
Existential crises. Guys, did you know you're all thoughts? Let's talk about fairies.
Okay, I have to pull up my stuff really quick.
Yeah, she was stalling. She's really sassy today.
I'm really sassy.
She's gonna fight me about folklore again.
About everything. Well, because I don't want to cover fairies. Are you kidding me? Do you know how much? There's literally a fight through cultures, a cultural fight about who owns the rights to fairies. Historically, now you're going to give me the responsibility to cover fairies as a whole in one podcast or one video. No, I can't do that. People don't like fairies. Other people do like fairies. Other people say that fairies are like super cool beings that are like deities. Other people go, fairies steal things, and then I don't know what happened to my toothpaste. It's a lot.
It's our interpretation of the information that we have found.
I know, but people don't like the interpretations because historically everyone's been fighting about who owns fairies and who's right.
That's why people want us to cover fairies. Controversial topics.
But That's
why we covered the Lizzie Borden house.
I don't want to cover the controversial topics.
Well, the controversial topics do well. Can't tell me I'm wrong.
I don't want to. It's too much responsibility. I just want to watch everyone else talk about fairies, and I don't want to actually have to do it because it's a lot for me. I don't have that much authority, guys. I'm a little tiny person that likes to eat pizza and ice cream and like pretend that I could possibly at one day make flower crowns that are good.
Well, we did this in the YouTube video, and she did a pretty good job, so I'm not.
What? You think I did a good job? I was severely stressed. Do you know how wet my armpits were?
Liv, you're usually stressed when you do the research for things for some reason.
Yes, because if talking...
Like, highly stressed. But you weren't as stressed out as when you did the, what was that video? The La Laurie Mansion. That was like, you were not there. Someone else was there.
Yeah, I was real stressed.
I know.
Uh-huh. I'm also
But
still stressed.
it's very normal for you to be highly stressed when you do the research.
Well, yeah. So I was like, all right, I have to cover fairies because mom says I have to.
Yeah.
And I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we just build up to big topics like this? We should be covering, like, Mothman first.
Or
not fairies.
we could build up fairies because we could literally have a channel about fairies.
Too much responsibility. I'm not a superhero. I'm a sidekick.
I don't get it.
Wrong one. Yes.
You have to explain it.
I'm a sidekick. Ha.
A sidekick to what?
To everything metaphysical. Oh, God. You're a towel.
We should have a towel button on this thing.
What would a towel sound like?
No, it's just tally. You're a towel.
Wouldn't that be
on the buttons.
copyright infringement?
It would be.
Is
but
it different?
I could speak it on here.
Is it different, though, if we say it? Oh.
I don't know. Are you going to talk about fairies?
Yeah, I'm going to...
Or are you just going to continue sassing about fairies?
I'm going to read everything that I wanted to say about fairies that I didn't get to say.
To make you more stressed out.
In the YouTube channel. Because I was like, all right, I'm going to make this super, super neutral. And just like, give...
What about this existential crisis?
A normal background overview, broad topic, just peeling back the layer on top of the pudding of fairies. And Em's like... Literally before my third bullet, she's like, well, where do fairies come from? Are they on physical planets or what? And I'm like, we weren't going to talk about this in the video. They were going to have to come to the podcast for it. But I guess M doesn't care about sequestering views on different cross platforms and lead magnets.
Well, she didn't tell me what we were talking about and told me to put my medium hat on, and that is what they told me.
And I thought...
And then she said it right after.
When you were going to put your medium hat on, you were going to talk to your actual fizzucking fairies.
But I talked to the fairies out in the backyard.
And that's a fucking fairy thing to do, too.
You're welcome.
I hate all of you equally.
Yeah, I talked to a literal gaggle of fairies that were in my backyard and not my spirit guide.
Either of your spirit guides.
Yeah.
So annoyed. All right. Okay. The Fae. Because I thought Fae was going to be a cool word to summarize fairies as a whole. And it could be, but also not, because I'll get into it. All right. AKA fairies, Fae, Fae with an E and Fae with an A, fair folk, fair folk, and then fairy, which is spelled Faerie, because I'm going to be word spelling things to you guys a lot.
And my dyslexic brain is going to cry.
Because fairy, guys, the word fairy and all of the words associated with fairy are like the differentiation between two, and two. And if some of you don't speak English, or if your English isn't that good, it's okay. My English isn't very good either. But just look up the debacle of the English language of two, and two, or like read and read, or there, and there. It's dumb. The only more confusing it could get, I think, is French or German. I'm just saying. Okay, so now fairies are types of mythological beings found in the folklore of multiple European cultures. The ones that like to fight the most over holding the rights for fairy folklore are the Celtic, Slavic, Germanic, English, and French. Now, fairies are categorized as a form of spirit and described as metaphysical, supernatural, or preternatural. I need to go on a tangent about the difference.
You getting text messages?
They can't hear it unless you say something.
You getting text messages?
All right, we got to go and understand the difference between supernatural and preternatural, because I think it's interesting that you could use any three of those descriptive words to categorize fairies. So metaphysical, that's what our entire channel is about. It's about the things that are abnormally physical, but also not. The in-between, as we could joke about, as you'll also understand in a little bit. But then you have supernatural. So according to the interwebs and people that like to argue a lot, supernatural defines things that are outside of the scope of our natural world. So, categorized as supernatural are things that fall underneath the category of paranormal, which would be ghosts and mediums and other paranormal things. Those are categorized as supernatural or things that cannot exist within our natural world. However, preternatural, well, it's
preternatural.
Preternatural.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Preternatural is used to describe things that exist within our world and can exist within our world. However, they are outliers due to certain factors. So somebody liked to explain preternatural as like Einstein or Beethoven. Both of them were highly intelligent in certain aspects that were far from the normal spectrum of intelligence for the normal population. So you could describe both of them as preternatural. But the fact that some people describe fairies as preternatural and not supernatural or metaphysical would give the denotion that they are able to exist within our natural world, but are outliers due to exceptional characteristics, which I think is cool.
Because they exist within our world?
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. I love it. Okay, so getting into more things and the nitty-gritty of what words mean and how words hold power.
Get
whether
ready for the spelling at you.
You understand words or don't. I wrote down that fairies are not a single batch candy creature because their origins are a vast collection of folk beliefs. So there's natural origin theories, which include demoted angels or demons, most notably in Christian beliefs. They also are categorized or found as pagan deities, spirits of the dead, and prehistoric precursors to humans. And I put insert Homo sapien joke here. Because, some fairies have wands that are sticks, but then other cartoon depictions of prehistoric humans, they got giant wooden club sticks.
Are those fairies? Sorry, I blacked out. There's a loud noise upstairs.
No, they're not fairies. I just thought it would be funny because the fairies with little wands and stuff that are
cute,
cartoonized or whatever, are also cartoonized like prehistoric humans, like the Flintstones. The Flintstones had clubs and stuff and wheels that were made of stone, but fairies have wands. Same thing,
Yeah.
They're also talked about as nature spirits. Now, personally, and from the things that I can tell as a medium, nature spirits is going to be able to fit into all of the categories. And we can fight about it in a second. So, aside from the strictly related mythological beast of fairies, so aside from fairies being fairies, the term fairy has also been used to describe creatures associated with magic. So things that aren't fairies, such as goblins, gnomes, sprites, which I think would be a denotion of fairies, and other such ethereal creatures. And there's sometimes the word fairy is being used as an adjective synonymous to things that are, quote, enchanted or magical, which I think is interesting.
So witches.
Yeah, you could literally use fairy to describe witches. You could use fairy to describe dragons. The word fairy was used to describe elves. So they became synonymous with the characteristics of these different creatures that were not, in fact, fairies, because the word fairy was taken away from the root meaning of their existence and given to the existence of other things that were not them. So I assume that's where some of the characteristics of fairies that might not actually be the case have been birthed from as words themselves, because words have power. So there is a reoccurring legendary motif expressing the need to keep the Fae away via protective charms. So I guess in churches, you wear bells. You keep bells on your back door or on doorways to keep fairies out.
I'm surprised the fairies don't just steal them.
Well, I think it's interesting that people keep bells on their doors for Christmas, but you think of sleigh bells, but maybe it wasn't sleigh bells. It was bells to keep Christmas fairies out or something.
I would steal them if I was a fairy.
Other types of protective charms or protective things was wearing your clothes inside out, and I put insert snowy joke day here.
That is the go-to for everything, is it not?
I mean, as a child,
you have a curse. Wear your clothes inside out. You want to have a snow day? Wear your clothes inside out.
See? You know the snow day thing too.
Okay. Who doesn't?
I
guess people that don't have snow not know that.
Okay, where we're from, if you want a snow day in elementary school, you're supposed to like wear your clothes inside out. And I thought that's where it stopped. But then one year in like 3rd grade, I had one old teacher that was a substitute teacher of all things tell us that we not only had to wear our PJs inside out, which I didn't
put a spoon under your pillow.
You heard it too. When I heard that, I was like, this woman is actually a witch, and I need to know what she's telling me because it's important. You best know I had a spoon underneath my pillow that night.
So, advice for if you are cursed, hexed, or otherwise, spoon and inside out clothes.
Because if you're wearing your clothes inside out in public, most things are going to stay away from you.
Get away from you. The fairies will stay away.
Oh, I mean, I will too.
Jesus Christ.
No, this is fairies.
If I was a fairy, I would steal their clothes.
And put them in right side out. Be like, no, this is how you do it.
I don't know. I'd give them like a quarter or something.
Jesus.
Under their pillow.
That's the tooth fairy.
Spoon. Yeah, exactly. There you go. You got the joke. Oh my God.
Wait, what if someone wore their clothes inside out and then to fix their clothes as a fairy, you're like, Jesus, God, I have to fix your clothes, but I can't do it without anything in return. So then you take their teeth.
And then give them quarters.
No, you just take their teeth.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. You know how? Okay. Remember how I was telling you that people believe if you accept things from a fairy that you're signing a contract or something with them, and that's bad, right? Wouldn't that be like the tooth fairy?
Oh God, you're right.
Like, what the fuck is the actual answer here, my dude?
Well, I kind of believed in the tooth fairy, but then I realized that the tooth fairy had much heavier pockets when, as a divorced child, I would sleep over my dad's house on the weekends.
But then you realized everything is a thought and the tooth fairy probably already exists and you can talk to them. Can you talk to the tooth fairy?
Realized the fact that my mother kept telling me as a child that my dad was much more rich than we were and that the tooth fairy must be in cahoots with my dad because he had more money. So.
She's not very good at storytelling.
One time I put my dog's teeth underneath my pillow. They were the molars of my English bulldog puppy, and my dad still gave me money for them.
You found a spoon underneath your bed?
No, I got like $20. I was rich.
Can you talk to the tooth fairy?
You talk to the tooth fairy. I'm not talking to fairies in this. You're doing it.
But I don't know what I'm talking to because it's scary looking.
And then it's probably a fairy. Oh, God. I'm not talking to
I think I have biased, though, because there's a lot of dark things about the tooth fairy. So I'm talking the dark manifestation of the tooth fairy.
Okay.
So what do you see?
Does it look like it has giant sharp wings that are made out of black chiffon and there's smoke everywhere? And when it opens its mouth, it has a giant grin with red eyes and giant teeth. And it's very tall. But you know it's feminine. Okay?
There's not another one? You see the scary one?
I like to think that there's a pink one that's very tiny and she has a cute little like white tutu that goes underneath it, like whatever that stuff is that makes your skirt go, yeah. That's what I like to think the tooth fairy looks like. Like the pink.
Wait, is that what you like to think about or is it actually there? Ugh.
I don't know.
That dark tooth fairy is scary. She's got like a wrench.
She says, so is puberty, kid. Get over it.
Yeah, that's accurate. She's like holding a wrench. I don't know, like pliers. That's what they are to rip your teeth out.
Gross.
Like she's got a really good
what
exterior, but her interior is full of teeth.
What if she could be like the Fates? Because I see her holding a skull with teeth in it, but she plucks the teeth out, and that's the tooth you're gonna lose. Like the Fates when they clip the string.
Yes.
That's fun.
Jesus.
Why not?
She's scary.
You're scary.
Yeah, it is correct.
I like how I'm not that scared of her, but you're scared of her. She kind of gives me the guy from...
I'm scared of her in the same way I'm afraid of spiders. She's like, ugh. You know what I'm saying?
She makes me think about the silhouette of the Grim Reaper from The Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Yeah, she's telling me the reason why you're scared of her is because you're afraid of having your teeth ripped out of your head.
Oh, you mean the reason you're scared of her?
Yeah, that's why I get like the heebie-jeebies, because she keeps showing me my teeth falling out. So.
Well, she has them, so you know.
So she's like, has pliers, and she's like, I could rip out a couple more, you know?
Weird. Oh, we talked to the Sandman. We never talked about that.
I talked to the Sandman!
Well, you talked to the Sandman.
And then I was like,
but then
who
you
was
had
that?
Me talk to the Sandman.
Guys, I had this reading with this person, and they were telling me that they could astral project, and it was a tarot reading, mind you, and she's like, who is the man that's there when I, like, come back? And I'm, like, doing a tarot reading while talking to this weird man, to which I saw the man before we even did the reading, and I was like, who is that? Is he, like, your estranged uncle? Because I don't know who he is. I just hear his weird-ass laugh.
Because he looks familiar.
Yeah, he has a familiar laugh. That's what I told her.
But you can't place him in a crowd. You just feel like you know him.
So I called Liv, and I was like, holy shit, this man helps this girl astral project and get back to her body. Who is he? Why does he have a familiar laugh?
Well, this was a very hard topic as I was making spaghetti for dinner.
I called her immediately after because I was like, I was stress sweating. I was like, I just fucking talked to some weird thing. And I like did it with tarot cards. Usually people who do tarot readings want to know about their love life and their career. But this girl wanted to know about astral projecting, which I know nothing about.
Yeah, and he showed me sands in like an hourglass that keeps time. And I'm like, okay, well, are you associated with time? And he's like, no, but I've been here since the beginning of time. And I was like, well, that's a dumb thing to say. I have spaghetti to make, sir. Please give me your answer. Also, I want to enjoy some wine. And before I give Emily a sober answer, I would like for you to tell me, because you are the only thing in between me and this fucking bottle of Rosso or whatever. And he said, well, and he like literally put the sand in the middle of his eyes. And I was like, oh, you're the Sandman. That's freaking creepy. Why couldn't you just be like, I help people with their dreams? Why do you got to be
singing you
weird?
The Sandman song?
Right? So he said the reason that I look familiar is because all of humanity has always associated them with his dreams. So no one ever looks at him because he's that unfamiliar face that you have in your dreams. Yeah. So that's why he looks familiar to M. Or could
I just heard him because I'm clairaudient. And also the person I was reading was blind.
And she was extremely clairvoyant. Plot twist. I'm sorry. I thought it was great.
So when she said that, the pressure went way down because I was like, thank God I don't have to explain what things look like. I can just tell you what they sound like.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, he's like, I've been around humans forever and all of you have seen me, but you haven't because you haven't consciously put two and two together of who I am. Hence my uncharacteristic familiarity with no place within your existence.
Yeah, there was a lot of stress sweat to be had during that reading.
It was a good time. He's like on the same frequency as you. He's very nonchalant and casual about 90% of the things. Because he observes things. Yeah.
Interesting.
So fairies. Oh, 4-leaf clovers. Supposed to keep the fairies away. I don't know.
Interesting.
And
is that because of like Irish things? Are they Irish fairies?
Probably.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
And food.
So wear your clothes inside out.
And put garlic around your neck.
And have clovers all over the place.
Plot twist, vampires are fairies.
Also put a spoon under your pillow.
Step on your left foot. Don't forget it.
Or you could just not think that fairies are scary. Except for the tooth fairy. She's fucking terrifying.
You heard it here, folks. All right. Adorning the Renaissance literary movement as well as the Romantic art movement, most popular in the UK during the Victorian era, which, if you don't know, was 1837 to about 1901, and the Edwardian eras, which was 1901 to 1912, and the Celtic Revival, which was 1890 to 1920. All of these movements within Europe added to the modern perception that we have for fairies today. Now, we need to understand the 2, 2, and 2, or etymology of the word fairy. So the word fairy, Fairy, is English, and it comes from the early modern English word of fairy, which is Faeire. You with me?
No.
And fairy means the realm of the fays.
Yeah.
Fays. But fairy, the Faerie, or the early modern English version of fairy, is in turn derived from an old French word, which is spelled very similar to the weird fairy that I just spelled to you, which is Faierie. Because, tangent again, did you guys know that when the French language became written in the sense of that you could type it, the people that were writing French for the longest time were like, Jesus, we don't have to do this anymore. Now we can just arrange all of these cute little stamps on this giant board and make words. However, the government, I believe, helped pay for words to be published using a printing press. So the French decided to restructure the way that they spelled words because they got paid per letter, which explains why a lot of French words are weird. I could be wrong, but I heard this from a French man. So either he was being a quintessential French person and pulling my leg, or it's real.
Weird. I know nothing about that.
Really?
Yeah.
This is random things in my ADHD mind that I hear, and I'm like, oh, I have to hold on to that forever. It's great. It makes my brain feel good.
Yeah.
All right. So the old French form of fairy, Faierie, is a derivation from the word fee, spelled Fee or Faie. And Faie is from vulgar Latin. So we went from English to older English to Old French to Latin. And the word fae or fee comes from vulgar Latin, and it comes from the word fata, Fata, which means the goddess of fate. So, in Old French romance, a fae, Faie, or fee, Fee, derived from the vulgar Latin word fata, was a woman skilled in magic and who knew the power and virtue of words, stones, and herbs. Which sounds like what?
A witch.
Exactly. So if you're talking about fairy, and then fee, and then fata, all from English and French, and then you have people that don't like witches thrown into it, they're like, fairies are witches!
Goddamn fairies.
Most witches are women, so do with that information historically or whatever that you will. So, the Latin word fae, Fay, is not related to the Germanic word fey, Fey. And the Germanic word fey, Fey, is meaning fated to die or doomed. However, it's unrelated to the Latin word fey. But if you're from a Germanic culture and you hear the word fae and you don't see it spelled as Fay, but instead interpret it as Fey, because that's how it's said in your German, you're going to think that someone's going and talking about a person that is fated to die. But they're just a fairy. So how do we go from this cool person that's got a wand and is a prehistoric human that's enchanted with magical abilities and maybe some wings and some doodads to they're going to die, stay away from them? You know? That could really fuber the meaning of fairies.
I mean, when we did our weird thing with Freya, you talked to a dark fairy, and they told you that they are also a reason why people don't trust fairies.
But if words are manifestations of things into existence, then it could be manipulated by the words that are used to bring them about into existence.
Okay.
I don't know. If someone tells you that you're a piece of shit for long enough, maybe you'll start to believe them.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, are there fairies that do devious things?
Yes, but they're equatable to like trickster gods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all like Thor, but you also like Loki. Get over it. So the Latin word fae was not related to the to the Germanic word fae, which means fated to die. However, the word fae from the Germanic derivation, so F-E-Y, has since been influenced by the old French word fae, F-A-E, or F-A-Y, or F-A-I-R-Y. So fae, or fairy. And because of its influence of the word meaning fated to die, because of its influence from old French words, its previous meaning of fated to die, doomed, accursed, anything negative like that, it's now been changed to mean more positive things. It's not necessarily fated to die, but the goddess of fate themselves. So are the fates fairies?
What are fates? Sorry.
When I think of fates, I think of the fates from Greek mythology, which are the 3 old ladies or the 3 old hags that they share an eye.
They are not fairies.
Can see into the future. Don't ruin my thing.
They're telling me that they're not.
I didn't think that they were either. I'm just trying to bring up talking points.
Oh, well, you asked, so I asked them, and they said no.
They're actually really pretty.
But you're explaining what I see, so I assume that these are the fates, and the fates are telling me that they are not fairies.
Are they really pretty?
Yeah.
Oh.
They look like Grecian goddess eye.
That's really cute.
Yeah. How many are there?
3, but I see a 4th one.
Okay.
Like,
cool.
like the Jonas Brothers that no one talks about.
Lol.
But
I see 4 as well. Because I was like, I didn't think there were this many of you.
Yeah. What's the 4th one is like younger, like a little sister.
Huh. I guess so.
Yeah, I see her as like younger. However, they're all the same age. That's what they're telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a brown-haired one, a red-haired one, and then a blonde-haired one. And then the little one, I think, has blonde hair, too.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cute.
It's weird. What?
Well, they're not fairies.
Well, all yeah, right. They're not fairies.
I just wanted people to think about it for a second. You had to throw out an answer that fast.
I'm a psychic medium. I don't have to waste my time. I could just ask them.
It's not that she's a psychic medium. It's that she's an Aries.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So, I put, are you confused? Because I just spelled at you? Well, you should be. Because it literally took me so long to figure out the meanings between the different fays.
Every time I get spelled at, I get high anxiety.
All right. I spelled a lot of things to you. However, fairy, F-A-I-R-Y, is a singular person or thing that is a fairy. Now, it's also related to the old modern spelling or the old English spelling of fairies. So a single person or thing as a fairy can also be spelled fae, F-A-I-E, F-A-Y, fairy, F-A-I-E-R-I-E, and then the good old, what we know now, fairy, F-A-I-R-Y. However, fae, F-A-E, is a place. So the fair folk, or F-A-E, is the place in which all fae reside, or a place in which certain fae reside.
So a fairy is a fae person that is from the fae world. It is a being from the fae realm.
Correct. But if you see F-A-Y, that is an individual or person, and F-A-I-E is also an individual or a person. But if it's F-A-E, then it's a place.
Yeah. It's being spelled at. I know exactly what you're talking about. I am literally one of those people, even though I'm an adult, if you spelled things around me, I would have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it says the early archaic spellings of fairy, F-A-E-R-I-E, or F-A-E-R-Y, hold true to being a fairy. So it's a lot, though. So you could understand if someone's talking about fae, F-A-E, and then not giving it the sense of it actually being a place, then you could get it mixed up like I did, because fae is a place, not a fairy. So I'd have to spell it F-A-Y for it to be correct. So my notes are even wrong, people. I am learning. Now, let's get into the historical aspects.
Jesus Christ. So, she spelled that all at you because there are so many derivations of the word fairy so that people may or may not believe that they are good fairies or trickster, weird like fairies, because people get confused as to what an actual fairy is.
Yeah, because if someone is using the word fairy to describe a enchanted and or magical being, but they're describing a goblin,
goblins and fairies are very different.
Very different. So you would get this negative or different connotation of a fairy because now you're associating those characteristics with that word. However, they're using the word incorrectly.
Can I also say, when we did this in the YouTube video, that there are other beings that are fairies? Because they were telling me when we were doing the YouTube videos that fairies are kind of like Pokemon, so they have like associations with things, and there are dragon fairies.
You're gonna lose all the people that are skeptical up to this point. We gotta explain how fairies exist in order for you to say that they're Pokemons, but that's coming. So don't leave.
Dragons, fairies, dragon fairies.
Don't leave.
Dragon fairies.
I want to talk about how
dragon fairies.
The use of language can create crazy stuff for things if you don't know what you're talking about, or you're taking things a different way, or it's taken out of context, or you're hearing someone say the word fae and you don't know how it's spelled and you don't know how to read either. And then you're like, oh, I'm just going to use context clues to figure out what this means. And it's wrong. So in the Middle Ages, which is precisely the 5th through the 15th centuries, after the fall of the Roman Empire, fairy, F-A-I-R-I-E, was adjectively used to mean enchanted and became a term for various enchanted or magical creatures such as elves, which is what we've kind of already talked about. Now, because they use the word fairy to describe magical creatures other than fairies, during the late Middle Ages, which is about 1066 to the 15th century, the late Middle Ages literature movement started to take rise during the Elizabethan era, and they mixed elves with fairies in their romance culture, making the changes, or making the characteristics somewhat interchangeable. So I think that's why fairies have similar qualities to elves. They're both like very nature related.
Can you talk to an elf?
I mean, I named my dog after one.
Are they little?
No.
Are there little ones?
No, the little ones want to call themselves elves, but the elves say no, that's not it. They've been doing this for centuries.
Oh, that's weird. Then what am I talking to? Is he a little guy with like gold around him?
He's a goblin. Remember how there was gold dust?
Ah, yeah.
From the Tire Iron Goblin.
He's interesting.
Mm-hmm. He's like, not all goblins are ugly. He's like shaking a fist at you.
He's little.
That's funny.
What about the actual elves?
They're really tall. They look like aliens, but they're not aliens. Do people think aliens are elves? Or no?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that are aliens. Okay, is an alien something that lives on a different planet in our realm?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say an alien is something from a different planet that is completely not associated with Earth. But I'm going to say
they're in our realm. The physical realm is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Not on Earth. Obviously, that's inaccurate. But I'm saying if there's other planets and other dimensions.
Oh.
That's what I was trying to tell you before. Everything is.
I'm not saying to that. I'm talking to
the
the elf that's talking to me, that's saying that he works with the souls of the Akashic records.
Jesus Christ.
It's fucking wild.
So are the elves in the Akashic records?
Yes and no.
Some of them are.
They helped to build it.
Why? Why them?
Because they deal with knowledge and understanding.
I'm still having an existential crisis with you calling me a thought.
Existential crisis.
Existential.
We're talking about that when we talk about dragons.
Interpreted. You're welcome.
All right. During the Middle Ages and the Elizabethan era, they all liked to mix elves with fairies in their romance culture and novels and other associated artworks, making elves and fairies somewhat interchangeable. But I think they were onto something there. I think the people that were doing that were smarter than they thought, or at least more metaphysically attuned than they might have not been aware of. So, because of this time era or time period, this created the foundation of the modern term of fairy, F-A-R-R-Y, to be specifically unique to English folklore and later made concisely associated with the Victorian era fairy tales.
Your towel. Sorry. I'm thinking about elves.
Well, fairy tales are about all things magical and enchanted, but aren't necessarily about fairies. You're not literally going to pick up a book that's labeled fairy tale and be like, this is going to be a tale specifically about fairies. No, fairy tales are associated with magical or enchanted places and things that aren't all fairies. So them associating the word fairy before this romance era only set them up to make fairy tales. It makes me happy.
Liv likes words.
I like understanding things about people, too. History makes me horny.
I hate history.
History makes me horny.
I think people are stupid.
Fall also makes me horny.
I hate history. That was the one class I almost failed in grade school.
I didn't do good in math.
I had all A's except for social studies class. You're welcome.
I took AP US history and it made me excited every day.
So did I. And it was the most worthless class I've ever taken because he was like, you get to go in the second part of government in college. And I was like, wait a second, I'm an art student. Why am I in this class again?
My teacher started class by saying, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to learn why Andrew Jackson was an asshole.
Wonderful.
He also looked a giant redheaded Shrek. It was a fun time.
Yeah, hated it. All of it.
He was the one football teacher that actually was intelligent.
Interesting.
He told us that when he went to take his history final exam for like his senior whatever, he Siri wants to get in on this.
I think you heard that.
He said that he broke out in hives and like pustules that wouldn't stop going away until after he took his exam. And he's like, and I still only got a C. He's like, yeah. I literally looked like a walking boil for 3 weeks, and I got a C.
That's me going into a history class.
Well, he made it his career. All right. So, folklorists and mythologists, the people who study folklore and mythology, I think it's funny that mythologists, okay, the word mythology is the study of myths. However, mythologists are the people who study myths.
Okay, I don't understand the point. I'm sorry, words are not my thing.
Ology just means the study of. So mythology is the study or understanding of myths. However, if you're a mythologist, you study the understanding of myths.
You study the science of myths.
You just study myths. It's like...
Okay. I still don't understand the point. Sorry. I did very bad in English class.
Okay, mythology is the understanding of something. Mm-hmm. Now, mythologists are the people that are trying to understand the understanding of something.
Okay. Sorry.
It's funny!
I don't get it. That's why I don't get your punny jokes either.
And her name was Mystery.
If you can make 2 + 2 = towel, that's funny, you know?
You can make 2 + 2 = fish because if you take one number 2 and then another number 2 and then
but if you tell me things together, like that, I'll tell you how you're wrong. Because I think you're serious. You're welcome.
Well, if you do take 2 2s and put them together and overlay them in a certain way, they could resemble a goldfish.
Okay. But also, a towel is a funnier joke.
It's not. It makes no sense. It's nonsensical.
Exactly.
The study of something being studied by someone else to study the understanding of that something is funny to me. It's like a cup inside of a cup for no reason besides to understand the cup that you're putting yourself into. Anyways. Folklorists and mythologists have variously depicted fairies as the unworthy dead, the children of Eve, a certain kind of demon, a species of independent humans and or humanoids,
species,
an older race of humans, and fallen angels. the folklorist or mythological elements combined with Celtic, Germanic, and Greco-Roman elements, they have suggested, because of these elements, that fairies arose from various early beliefs, and they lost currency with the advent of Christianity. Thank you, priests. So now there's disparate explanations that are not necessarily incompatible with fairies, but they all can be traced to multiple sources because they all had their own type of foundation. And then the priests came in and were like, this is how you're wrong. All of these people are actually demons, the children of Eve, unworthy dead, species of independent humans, and fallen angels. So, multiple sources, not a single batch candy creation. Now we have physical characteristics because I just wanted to talk about some cool pictures.
The Pokemon. Sorry.
The Pokemon. Well, according to some historians, fairies were adopted from and influenced by Paris of Persian mythology. So when I say Paris, it's Peris. And Paris were angelic beings that were mentioned in antiquity and pre-Islamic Persia as early as the Achaemenid Empire. If I said that wrong, I know I probably did. So Paris were later described in various Persian works in great detail. Many of the Peri were illustrated to be fair, beautiful, and extravagant nature spirits that were supported by wings. However, they think that these depictions were illustrated or these depictions were potentially influenced by migratory Germanic and Eurasian settlers into Europe and began to transform the appearance of Paris and now fairies that we see today. And the similarities could be attributed to Proto-Indo-European mythology. Big words, big people. That's why we're here for you. So, fairies are generally, at least in European cultures that like to fight in the ring for their honor, are described as human in appearance and having magical powers. They have various kinds of fairies, and they're reported through the centuries, ranking in sizes. So some people have depicted fairies as small as something that can sit on like birds or beetles.
Yeah, they were telling me about that right before you said something. There are small ones, because I was like, why are you so big, Finea, if there's little fairies in my tree? And she was like, because I do something other than what the people in the tree do.
Yeah.
It's because they're specialized to their job.
So if you're a fairy sitting on its toadstool, maybe you're a part of the toadstool, so you help with that. And those are smaller.
Yeah.
So sometimes they are described in short stature. They could be dressed in dark gray. Sometimes they're seen in armor. And some sorts of folklore fairies have green eyes. Some of them have normal colored eyes. I don't know. I would, if I was trying to draw someone like me, I would give myself green eyes. Do I have green eyes? No.
Where is Finea from? She's giving me hints and it's weird.
What do you think?
I don't know how to explain what she's showing me.
Is she showing you something of plant nature or?
No.
Okay. She's not showing me plant stuff either.
Okay.
Is she a part of light?
Oh, that's what it is. She's like, I don't know. She's showing me things that aren't here.
That's why you think she's from a different planet.
Ah.
Because she travels through light. She's a part of
Makes
the particles of light.
Yeah, because she shows me, like, something that looks like clouds, and then the thing that goes through the clouds.
It's called light.
Yeah. But I didn't know what I was looking at.
That's why when we first saw her, you were like, oh, so she's, like, on a different planet because fairies can live physically on another planet and still help us?
No, she's from a different realm.
Well,
That's
yeah.
what I think.
I know, but we talked about it being, like, a physical planet, and somehow they're able to be here. It's in one of our podcasts, I swear.
I know, but the way that I think about it isn't not necessarily another physical plane of existence, is another existence in a different dimension. So I have imagined the third dimension, which is where we are at in 3D. So we have a physical form, but when we leave our physical form, we become fourth dimensional or fifth dimensional, and then we go to that dimension. So the body we have in the third dimension is different than the body that we have in the fourth or fifth, sixth dimension. So there is something that is planet-like where they are from, but they are in a different dimension. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
But she travels far distances because she is light.
Because how we are talking about fairies is they are the things that are derived from physical or objects in itself, but she specifically is different than the fairies that are in my garden because she specifically helps me with things that are not physical. So she is associated with things that are not physical, which is light.
Is she associated with sound too? I don't think it's just light. It's just energy.
The things that go through clouds. I don't fucking know what it is.
I think it's just weird. Yeah, I don't get it because I see the light and I see it traveling, so that makes sense. But I'm thinking, okay, so okay. There are different fairies. So I talk about in our YouTube video how there is a culture of people that live on islands. I'm sorry, I don't remember who specifically they were in context to the source that I was reading, but they believe that fairies are, of the origin stories, a part of humans or a race of human-like beings that predated humans as we know it today. And these humans were created by a god to create our environment or the natural world. So there were fairies that were created by God to create rocks. There were fairies created by God to create water. All of the things within our natural world. So once the fairies were done creating these magical things on behalf of God who created them, they stepped aside to allow God to create humans as we know ourselves. So for them, as humans coming after fairies who were created by God, it was important for them to take care of the natural world because God created the fairies to create the natural world in order for humans to exist. Fairies can exist without the natural world, but humans cannot. That's why there has to be a balance between humans and the natural world. And there should never be a time and place when humans think that they are greater than the natural world because they did not create it. It was created for them in order to survive. The natural world can survive without humans because the fairies created it. So they're very, very stringent on the balance between the two and being respectful of your existence within the natural world.
But that's where we think that fairies are from. They are from the nature spirits to help, like, it's like they're the workers of the nature spirits, like of the physical things in our world. But there are also fairies that deal with things that are not physical.
Yeah, well, I was just asking Finea how if fairies are created from nature spirits or the physical things within our world, then how is it that she can be both of light and sound? These people believe that there are fairies that helped create certain things. So the grass fairies got together with another type of fairies and created trees.
Oh, Pokemon.
The rock fairies.
Evolution of Pokemon. Sorry.
The rock fairies came together with the water fairies to make the ocean floor.
Yeah, it's like
So that's
like Pokemon.
That's how she can be both light and sound because both of the fairies that created her existence both travel using one another to get from place to place.
Which is why she's helping me with my mediumship.
Yeah, because mediumship is just the interception of energy from place to place.
Well, that's also the information that I get from her.
Yeah.
Is stuff that is perceived by light and sound.
Uh-huh.
But yeah. But what I was getting with the Pokemon things, Pokemon have a specialization. So you have grass Pokemon, rock Pokemon, fairy Pokemon. Well, sorry.
Clefairy.
They are derived from these specific things, and the way that they look is different based upon like what type of Pokemon they are. So fairies do not need to necessarily look like little people with wings. They may present themselves as fairies like people with wings because they are more relatable to human beings, but that's not just one type of fairy look that you will see.
Well, they're also not bound by physicality. They may be birthed within the existence of our natural world, but they are not bound by it. So they
don't have a physical body, so they can be perceived how they want to be perceived.
Yes.
And I still think they have like an actual shape.
Yeah, a true form.
But they can change their shape to be relatable to a human.
Yeah, just like in our reading tonight, we talked to the past life of our client, and I asked him specifically, well, you're dead, so at one point you were old, and if you're trying to give like cool, wise knowledge,
because he was like, what, 40?
He's 36.
36.
I asked him specifically why he was so adamant on appearing at the specific age of 36, and he's like, because I died, it doesn't matter what I looked like when I was old for the information and the hard facts that I'm spitting at you right now to resonate with my current life. So, step off.
He was sassy.
He was really funny. Dude had wingtip shoes on. I'm not kidding.
But it's crazy because also with the Pokemon thing, if you're saying that fairies can like combine their abilities to make things, that's kind of also how Pokemon's like evolve. Because for me, when I see things, I'm not as clairvoyant as Liv, so I ask Spirit to explain things to me with things that I've already seen through cartoons.
Well, when I get information from Spirit, similarly to what M says, they use things that we know, see, hear, and feel already because they're privy to that information as a spiritual being or a soul. So they'll use things that I've already known, seen, or things that have happened in my past, present, or future to equate information to me. So for them to use cartoon characters, that's not hard.
I know. It's just like, it's weird because I feel like you see people you've never seen before.
Me?
Yeah. Does that happen to you?
What do you mean? I always see people that I haven't seen before, and I'll never physically meet them because they're cremated in the ground or really far away because they're dead.
That is hard for me to fathom. So that's why I ask them to tell me, what do they look like as a cartoon character that I already know?
That's really cute.
Because I'm like, how do I fathom something I've never seen before or someone I have never seen before?
Yeah, I get it.
So in our reading today, obviously I picked the feminine soul, and she told me that she's like Jasmine from Aladdin. You're welcome.
Yeah. So back to what fairies look like.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they look like, but by humans, they were depicted as tiny people or big people, and they either had wings of nature or insect characteristics. So like butterfly wings, dragon wings, cool, pretty wings, and they were like on flowers and shit. And
they were dragons. Dragons.
And they're dragons. So we're not going to give the whole thing away because we still have to talk about dragons in our other
Wait, are you going to talk
podcast.
about the Fae Dragon in this one or in the other one?
Well, in this one, we can talk about it in both, but I'm only going to talk about the Fae Dragon.
Okay.
We were talking to dragons, and this little tiny dragon came flying in, and I thought it was funny because he was long, kind of like a Chinese dragon.
Yeah.
But he had feet.
You were telling me that dragons can't be fae beings, so I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Well,
and then I was like, but
I got told shut the fuck up by Leviathan.
Yeah, but I was like, can there be a fae dragon? And this little dragon came in, and I was like, oh, wait. I was telling you that little dragons could exist, but big dragons can't exist. So a little dragon came in the room, and I was like, you are a fae being. And he was like, yes.
So it was this little tiny Chinese-looking dragon with 4 little feet, and he had gold dust around him. He had very high tinkly energy, like tinkling bells. That's usually how I interpret fairies, is they have that sort of vibration.
Energy.
Well, they have that sort of, I can feel it, and I can also hear it, and I can see it.
I understand the energy.
Yeah, but the people we're talking to don't.
Yeah, okay.
And he was changing colors from green to red to gold. And his wings were dragonfly wings. And I was like, you're hilarious because of all the little tiny fey creatures that are coming to come true us. You're literally going to make a pun about being a dragonfly. Stop.
You're welcome.
It was really cute. He was sitting on my shoulder and like making faces at me.
And she was shitting herself because she's like, I can't see these things. This is impossible.
Yeah, I had a little existential crisis at the end of the video. Existential.
Interpreted.
Tater tots.
Potato.
All right, so now that we've talked about all of this weird, crazy stuff with fairies, am I going to talk about a certain fairy? No, that is for you to tell me to do. But I know.
But you should talk about where they're from.
No,
Are you going to do that?
No, I'm going to.
Okay, cool.
I'm leaning into it. People need a break. We literally just shit their pants. And if we didn't, then they already clicked off because they think we're crazy.
Wait, did you guys shit your pants? Because wait until we talk about dragons.
Oh, Em didn't sleep the last night because of it. Anyways.
You're welcome.
So I'm not going to talk about a certain fairy or a certain religion or cultural group's fairies. But if you want me to, let me know. Because I was like, fairies can't just be European, like Celtic, Germanic, French area of the world. And they're not. I was reading things where certain Native American cultures actually have depictions or interpretations of beings similar to fairies, or that they equate to fairies. And then also certain Asian cultures. I looked and I saw Chinese and Japanese cultures that had different names for fairies that were equatable. But you guys got to let me know, and then I'll do specific things. But for now, we're going to talk about where fairies come from. So we were doing a video and a podcast, as we do, about spirit guides, I think. I don't remember. Our guides
Past lives.
Past lives.
Yeah, because I made you explain mermaids and fairies in our past life podcast.
I should listen to our podcast.
Yeah, you should probably do that because you're the one that edits them.
I listen to them at least once.
But in chunks. I listened to our YouTube videos twice. Well, okay, I listened to them like 4 times, but that's beside the point.
You're a chunk. Okay.
You're a towel.
So
what?
I hate the orange one. It's so delayed. It just sounds like someone putting a shoebox down really hard, and they don't even
I put
do
it on there, and
timely
they
manner.
didn't.
So, one of the podcasts, they explained to me how fairies exist. Are they on a different planet? No. Are they aliens? No. Why? Because they're from Earth. They are associated, at least the ones we're talking to, with physical existence here on our natural world. I think there are ones from other planets, but I don't know about that. So we're just Well, she's not associated with a different planet. She's literally associated with light and sound, which can be on any planet in any existence, whether it's a physical dimension or a non-physical dimension. That's why she's cross-functional.
Exactly.
So
they can be spiritual. Like, be associated with spiritual things, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So I learned that the physical particles called atoms that create existence as we know it, at least physical existence, so like you, if you were to get rid of the space between your atoms, which is the nucleus and electrons.
The difference between the nucleus and the electrons is the space you're talking about.
Yeah, but I said protons, and then I said nucleus and protons and neutrons.
Yes.
Protons and neutrons.
If you got rid of the space there,
nucleus.
what would happen?
You would be the size of a sugar cube.
Yeah.
About. So, if there's all this empty space residing in physical existence itself, and energy is just frequencies, and souls are just energy that exist on certain frequencies within a realm called the spirit realm or heaven, whatever you want to call it. I call it spirit with a capital S for the umpteenth time, as I'll explain. Then it is not far-fetched for other types of energy to exist within the space between the particles of physical existence. This is where fairies live. They live in the space that makes you not a sugar cube.
So, if you're a 90s kid and you remember those projector things where your teacher would have weird printout things that you would draw on?
An Elmo?
I don't know. I don't remember Elmo on the projector.
They called it an Elmo, and I have no idea what it stands for, but I was like, that is not Elmo. He is not red.
But you take, like, I don't know, the math problems, and then they take another piece of transparent paper, and they put it over, and it has the answers. The transparent piece of paper is where the fairies exist. Does that make sense?
I like my explanation better.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying. in the most stupid, simplified, most easy way to understand. Here's our existence on this piece of paper, and then you take translucent piece of paper and you put it on top. It is existing within the same realm, but it exists so that we are not able to perceive it necessarily because it is like on the in-between dimensions.
Well, just in between the particles that make up physical existence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like, when a fairy is in a story and the person telling the story is like, I was in the woods and then this fairy just stepped out behind a tree. They didn't step out behind the tree. They stepped out from the actual tree because that's where they live.
Like inside the tree.
Between the particles of the tree.
Yeah.
They are the tree, but they're not the tree.
So I like to think that they have little fairy villages within the particles of existence.
Yeah. That's what the tree outside showed me in our video that people like to like on TikTok.
I don't know why people like that video so much.
I don't know either.
Because you literally start with, I was talking to this tree.
It really gets people going.
I don't know. We talked to other trees. They like that tree.
You know, the that one song where it's like a rap song and they say something really crazy and wild and then it like skirts the record and they're like, why do you say that? And the person that said something really outlandish in their rappy voice was like, because it gets the people going. I guess
that's that video for sure.
Literally saying, so I was talking to a tree. It's the metaphysical
so
version.
Maybe that's what we have to do in all of them. I was talking to this cactus. And then they'll go viral.
Oh, God. Well, a lot of people like to, that are mediums, say, I was talking to this dead person. I never start any videos like that. Maybe I need to.
Yeah.
Because I'm not necessarily talking to a dead person. I like to say that I communicate with souls, not that I speak to them, because similar to how the word fairy was equated to goblins, the word speaking gives people the interpretation that I am physically talking through verbal ways to souls, and that is not how it works. I communicate with them, which is different.
Interesting.
Or when people go, I see dead people. I don't really see dead people. I perceive their souls.
Well.
But it doesn't get the people going.
In The Sixth Sense, that's where it came from. I see dead people.
I never watched that movie. Was it scary?
Yes. I mean, this little kid sees dead people. Does that sound scary?
I mean, that was my existence.
There you go. Was it scary?
Yes.
There you go. Scary. So.
Now I talk to fairies. Come at me.
Yeah. So there is, I don't know, I guess there's stories or myths or something where fairies only present to children. Is that a thing? When I say present, I mean physically maybe? I don't know. Because I see people talking about it on YouTube, and they, like, explain that when they were kids, they would see the fairies at night, and if they're, like, they went to go get their parents or whatever and be like, there's fairies and goblins in my room, the parent would be like, some weird thing would happen so that they wouldn't see them.
I think that's just because kids don't have egos, and the same reason they're seeing fairies is the same reason that kids see dead people. But I also know that there's lore that the reason children are able to better perceive fairies is because fairies are supposed to be the spirits of children. And I don't know.
Weird.
Well, I don't know if this got misconstrued, because remember how I said that fairies are the children of
things?
The children of Eve.
Oh, well, technically, aren't we the children of Eve? I don't understand that.
Well, it was that Eve was washing two of her kids in a river because cleanliness is next to godliness. However, God was like, hey, let me see your babies. And she's like, sure. And put them out into a row, except for the ones she was washing in the river. She, like, sequestered them away underneath a leaf or something and was like, shh, no one can see you. And God was like, how dare you? I know you're hiding them babies from me. And then was like, because you're a bad mother and didn't show me all of them babies. These ones I'm casting out of heaven. So Now they're fairies.
But
So
the
people-
story of Adam and Eve is that everyone is derived from the two first people on the planet.
Yes.
So I am a child of Eve. How is it different?
Because you were a part of the children that he counted in the line. The fairies were a part of the children that were not counted in the line.
So they're
during
the damned
roll call.
Eve children? I don't understand how Eve comes into the story.
Because she's the one with the birthing hips.
Okay, but she birthed something, who birthed something, who birthed something, and then birthed me. You know what I'm saying? I am technically related to this said lady.
I know, but you're not related to those children. Those ones are the fairies.
But technically I would be.
No.
Why not?
Because you would be like their cousins. You wouldn't be sisters. You'd be cousins.
I didn't say the creation story made sense.
No creation stories ever make sense.
But technically, I would be related to Eve, to which I would be related to her children because I am their child of Eve.
Yeah, but you were kept in heaven. The children that she tried to hide from God were kicked out of heaven.
Okay, but I'm still a child of Eve.
I know, but
So me saying, you're a child of Eve, that's everyone.
you have to understand that they weren't in God's good graces. He tried to punish Eve by kicking the children out of wherever Eve and the children lived, which would be a godly place. So if you no longer have whatever's in the water there, you're not as close to God. So now you're a fairy. And that's why children are able to see fairies, because those children that created the fairies are trying to get closer to our children to steal them from God or something.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah.
I would like to be that.
You know how in Hercules, Hercules...
I'm sorry, you're going to have to explain it.
Okay.
That was a fever dream of my childhood.
Hercules is... Well, he became a demigod. However,
Yes, okay.
he was birthed from two gods, Hera and Zeus.
Okay.
So, inherently, he should have been a god himself. Because when you live in Olympus with the gods, you are a god. And he was the child of two gods. So there, he's a god. In order to make a demigod, technically speaking, you have to be the product of a human and a god. So you only have godlike powers, however, you are not a god. You live in the human plane of existence.
Okay, so why is he a demigod?
The reason Hercules is technically a demigod is because Hades had his evil minions feed him some sort of elixir that was going to make him entirely mortal, but he didn't finish the whole potion. There was a drop that he missed, so it took away all of his godly powers except for that one drop of elixir that he missed could not erase or vanish his god qualities. So, and he could no longer reside in...
Hades is funny.
Well, Hercules could no longer reside in Olympus because he was not a god anymore. So if God's like, I'm going to take these children that you tried to hide from me and say that they're not a part of God or wherever this realm is, he's not drinking what's in the water. It's the equivalent of Hades giving the elixir to Hercules. He's no longer a god. He's something different.
We should call them Hercules children or Powerpuff Girls with chemical X. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry. Hades has just been telling me weird things while you've been talking about him. He's like cackling in the background like, ha ha ha, puny human.
Jesus.
Like,
So-
this is so dumb.
That might be one of the reasons why people think if you want to use folklore that was taken from Christian beliefs, why children would see fairies, because they are the children that were cast out from God because of Eve's actions.
They were seeing demons.
Because if you're not with God, you're a demon.
You're a demon.
There you go. And
sounds
that
good.
also might personify the amplification and just complete breakdown of what fairies actually are by missionaries to equate fairies with demons.
But it really blows my mind that, like, witches, people who, like, study spirituality and paganism and things like that, think that fairies are, like, trickstery things. Like, all fairy kind, they're, like, very wary about doing things because they're worried about the culture of how fairies are, and they not understanding the culture of fairies and accidentally like being tricked by these trickster fairies or something. It's wild to me.
I also think it's wild that Fae means a woman that understands the power and virtue behind words, herbs, and stones and stuff.
A witch. Sorry.
But I forgot to tell you. So I think it's interesting that some people, even though Fae was equated with fairies, which is equated with women that are like witches, you have to think Fae would be a medicine woman, right? But
Or a witch. Sorry.
well, back then, women knew a lot about medicine in the sense of like midwifery,
Midwifery is a good one.
birthing babies, taking care of people, making poultices and
Midwifery.
tonics.
Like I'm taking a whiff of something, you know? That's what I think of.
I think it's actually pronounced midwifery, but get over it.
Midwifery.
Just say it all the time. Get it out of your system.
Really cute. Can't handle it. Midwifery.
But men, being men, were like, women can't have knowledge because they're dumb. See, my head is actually bigger than hers because I'm 6 foot tall and she's 5'2", so therefore the mass of my head equates my knowledge and the size of my penis speaks out of my mouth. So
We're so sorry if you're a dude.
I'm not.
Oh,
So
I'm not.
I've had many past lives of dudes. Get over it. So
Yeah, she is the masculine aspects, which is
This-
why she is throwing herself at you.
this is my time.
Jesus.
We're like, these Fae cannot take a place where I could make money and have power. I'm going to take it away from them and call them witches. So these fairies or Fae are only witches. They are
But they're
not
pretty witches
cool.
with wings. Oh, sorry.
So in some cultures, people actually used to have rooms next to birthing rooms that were specifically for the spirits of fairies or fees because they were supposed to come in and help with the birthing process and keeping the babies safe, which makes me think about fairy tales, specifically the fairy tale of Snow White, because baby Briar Rose had all of her parents invite the fairies or the fee to bless her with gifts. And then the one that didn't get the invitation fucked it all up. And then she was an evil fairy.
Speaking of evil fairies, there has been an evil fairy here. Can you talk to him? Or, sorry, not an evil fairy, a dark fairy.
Yeah, he's the same one from her face, right?
She's a girl.
This one's a girl?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking at it. You're the one looking at girl things, not me.
I know, but I've been trying to talk to it for the last hour.
Well, then you're going to have something to do after I leave.
Well, she has black wings, and she has red hair, like fiery red hair that goes down to her, like, boobs. And she's got, like, a black dress, and the bottom of her dress is, like, ripped and, like, angled. You don't see her?
She says you'll know when we go to my bachelorette party.
What the fuck does that mean? We're going to Salem for her bachelorette party, which you guys will hear about. Be excited. I'm planning it for you.
I am excited.
It's going to be a bash. You talking to her?
No, I can't talk to her.
Why not?
She tells me that she's not bad. You just think that she's bad.
She's just black. And I just wanted to segue into it.
I don't know. I can't talk to her. She doesn't have anything to say.
Yeah,
Besides
she's
that-
just been looking at me.
You'll know. Does she have black eyes?
Yeah, sorry.
Well, that's weird.
What? You see her, though, right? Sort of. That's what they're telling me.
Yeah, sort of. I've never seen something with actual, like, glassy black eyes. That's freaky. She's just telling me that people think that she's bad, but she's not bad. But I'm also listening to something talking for her, kind of.
Who are you talking to?
No, okay. You said she's black, right?
Yeah.
It's because she absorbs things.
Ah.
So what I'm talking to is a projection of herself. So it's not, like, it's hard for her to talk. That's why you can't understand it.
Ah.
Because everything goes into her. It's
And
hard for
not
her to
out.
put things out,
Got you.
including communication.
Weird.
So,
Yeah, she kind of does feel like obsidian. That
Mhm.
rock.
maybe she's literally an obsidian fairy.
That'd be cool.
Makes sense.
That's probably why I said that.
Boom.
Boom.
All right, you guys.
Fairies aren't evil.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you go to a culture and speak out of turn and you don't speak the language and you also don't understand sociocultural norms of the people that you're in the same room with, you could definitely put your foot in your mouth and then, I don't know,
sign a contract with a fairy.
or be stuck in another country because they put you in jail for like touching doorknobs. Oh,
And then
did
blame
you
the
know
fairies?
Licking doorknobs
Thank
is
you.
illegal on other planets.
I'm going to be honest, if you did not make that joke, I would have, just for the sole fact that you said the key word of doorknobs. And if you also did not feel that, why are you not also brainwashed by SpongeBob and Harry Potter?
So, if you were to lick a doorknob that's illegal on a
other
planet,
planets.
then that would be equatable to why you don't understand fairies and might be scared of them.
Yeah.
So
Don't lick doorknobs in the Fae realm.
Or on other planets in which it's illegal.
So, how about those Patreon people?
God, I forgot.
You gotta pull that shit up. Wait.
You do it.
I think I have it up. So, if you guys don't know, we have a Patreon, and we like to do shout-outs in our podcast. Our first one is Violet from the Harmonic Forest.
She's not even going to scroll down for me. Tiana.
It was a lot of brain power. Peyton.
Allie.
Mac.
Josie.
Autumn.
Tyus. Thais.
Victoria.
Jenny.
Laurel.
Brianna.
Antia.
Bradley.
Sandy.
Miss Kerr.
Christina.
We could just call you Naz. Sushi.
Anita.
Katie.
Charles.
Jan.
Holly.
Krista.
Abby.
Malake.
Malaki is a good one. You're a towel. Also, Bradley, you're also a towel.
Oh, God.
So, if you guys want a crazy reading with us, we offer those as well.
Mhm.
And we did a YouTube video about this where we fight about what fairies are, because Liv was not prepared for me to talk to about 20 fairies in my backyard about what fairies are. So make sure to check that out. And in our next podcast, we're going to talk about dragons, so don't miss that either. Subscribe or follow or whatever you do with podcast things, and we'll see you guys at the next one. Yeah.
We are your Meta PsycKicks.
I can't hear it.
Oh, God. I hate you.
Oh, I can hear it now.
I like the one where you yodel over the outro.
Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Gotta catch 'em all.
God. Copyright infringement.